You know, there are times when I record the videos and I absolutely have no idea what to do with the intro, which is something that I've been struggling since, beginning of the channel, and some things don't get better. Hello and welcome to a very late video. Today I wanted to have a chill day, as chill as it gets on Basic Plants, which is not very chill to be honest. So I wanted to kind of go through my Hoyas and see if there is something that needs to be done. I know that a lot of them need to be watered, and I don't think I'm gonna turn this into a watering video, hopefully. Also, I have like 5 liters of water prepared and I usually need like 15 to water all of them. I mean, ideally, I would love for this to be like a video where, we just spend a day together taking care of the Hoyas, but someone's gotta edit that and not me. Anyways, so there's not really a specific thing that I'm looking to do. I think I will water the plants, label some of them, trim some of them if something needs to be trimmed, if we have some dead grow tips. We will kind of catch up with some of the Hoyas that I received in the past. I think there are, again, some of them that you haven't seen, most of them you have, so we'll just, do that. Okay, so first we will start with this Rodsta cabinet, and I cannot open it because I have a leg. Inconvenient. Something is not quite right with the way I set up this cabinet. I think I didn't really level it properly, so sometimes I have a difficulty opening the door, which, has been going on for like a month. And do you know what I did to fix that? Absolutely nothing. And actually, I don't think this is a setup that you have seen because it is fairly recent. But basically what I did with this cabinet is I put a pegboard on the back, or actually my friend did because this is a cabinet that she used to have. And I have 2 regular hardware store LED lights going through the glass pane because there is a small gap there. And then hanging from the chains very insecurely there is another light, and you can see that the pots are not really great. I mean, things are crooked. And then I also have some Hoyas here on the bottom of the cabinet. Now, this is not a setup that I particularly love. My issues with this particular setup is that there is just this big gap here, which you have seen in the video, and I can't really use that space. And do you know how I feel about spaces that are not being used? Not very good. So this is the space here that is the issue, and because the LED light is hanging from this upper part, if I put something here, it is very likely that they will burn. There isn't even much space from the light to these Hoyas here, so this is not the most ideal setup, and it's a shame because I think it is something that can look good. Similar to what I did in my Millsbow cabinet. So I don't really know why this didn't occur to me because, again, the setup for the Millsbow cabinet, I did that, but these corners of the cabinet, which you can probably see better here, I mean, you also know that the cabinets and furniture in general has corners. It's not like I'm passing down some, extraordinary knowledge. What? What is the accent? But in my Millsbow setup, I did use those corners to put some LED lights kind of vertically. And that is great because then we could have this entire pegboard filled with Hoyas, which is the plan. Hoyas everywhere. That's the theme of the channel, if no one noticed. So as it is, I can't really do that. I was thinking about redoing this setup many weeks ago. Like immediately, as soon as I was finished, I knew I didn't like it, but I just didn't have time to do that. It takes a lot of time, just to rewire the lights, and I would need new lights here that I do have because I have a bunch of old hardware store LED lights. But what I actually think I'm going to do is I'm going to probably get some grow lights, LED grow tubes. So now the hardware store lights, even though they can work great, I just think it's worth investing in something else other than those. And also those kind of make a buzzing sound, which you probably haven't noticed because I turned them off for the most part when I record videos in my Millsbow cabinet, but sometimes I forget to turn them off and there is a slight buzzing noise, which I'm not a fan of hearing it at any point in my day. All of that aside, I think it's time to kind of take a look at the Hoyas and what needs to be done. So I don't think anyone needs to be trellised here. I do see a couple of candidates, but I think I'm gonna move them out like this Hoya question mark. I wish I had labeled this because I either got it as Hoya desciantha or modescae, and one of those is carnosa, or maybe even both of those. I mean, it would just be very useful to label the name, and I think I'm gonna actually take this out of the cabinet. There is really no reason for it to be here. I kind of only put it there so it's out of my way because I haven't yet finished or begun the Hoya wall that I want to do, which is next to the cabinet, and I don't have anywhere else to put these Hoyas. I no longer have shelves and they don't fit into my tent. So this is the second one that is potentially desciantha or modescae or, you know, carnosa. So I think what I will do is I will contact my friend after this video because I got it from her, and she will know which one is desciantha and which one is modescae. I think modescae is the one that is changed to carnosa. This is one of the plants that I got from Romania. I don't think I said that in a video. Oh, well. This is one of the plants that I got, and I complained about this order, and it's finally starting to grow a bit, but they're really taking a long time. This is Hoya rubida. Nothing needs to be done there. I think also we can kind of check for pests, but I don't see any issue here. I am happy to report that one of those plants finally, thank goodness, started to grow. I mean, it's not growing incredibly well, but this Hoya latifolia, this is pot of gold, and you can see there that we have some new growth. So that is good. Can't wait to see new leaves because one of the old leaves is also very ugly and damaged. We have to water these plants. I see that not all of them are dry. The carnosas seem fine. There is some water there and the roots are getting there. It's fine. But this Hoya latifolia, definitely I can see that the pond is dry, and yeah, it just would benefit from a bit of watering. Now, I think I did say in the past, or I did show this in the past, but I use one of these. This is actually not supposed to be used for watering. I think people use this for spraying plants, and this is a 5-liter tank. I used to use a 10-liter one, but honestly, that kind of gets heavy. I would rather refill it. I mean, at one point I was thinking maybe I should go for like 20 or 40 liters, right? So I get to fill it once, but then, you know, I have to get on ladders a lot, and, you know, there is a high possibility that I would fall. So the way I hack these is I just remove the nozzle at the end, so it's kind of just this metal tube, and the initial blast is kind of terrifying, so, you know, you want to be careful, you want to be gentle. And I just give it a quick watering, and that's basically it. They rarely need more than that. Now this one actually bloomed recently, and I took a cutting of it for sale, and I'm just looking if any of these vines need to be trimmed back. I think in one of the previous videos I talked about how sometimes, you know, when we get these vines, leafless vines, I will trim them back. And what I meant is when you get a vine and for whatever reason it stops growing or it loses a bunch of baby leaves, I kind of trim them back. I don't really like to have very long vines with no leaves. There is a way for you to kind of fix this by, you know, kind of wrapping it around and hiding that, but I don't always like to do that. And I think this vine still has baby leaves on it, so I'm going to leave it, even though the tip did die back. Just a quick watering there. Okay, be grateful. This is the other latifolia. This one hasn't done anything yet, and they're not really even growing crazy roots, or possibly any roots. I mean, I can actually, when I touch the leaves, I can tell they are dehydrated. So the first one, not so much. This one, a whole lot more. And I bet you that the roots are not great on it, or that they haven't grown much. Like you can see even on the back of the leaf. See? The wrinklage is not something that we appreciate. So what I'm going to do is I give it a bit of watering, and if these leaves don't firm up, I'm gonna cut it. I'm sick and tired of this. I tried to rescue the original roots. I'm just gonna cut it and reroot it again, and that's that's what we are going to do. I mean, another one that isn't doing anything is this Hoya peninsularis, the beautiful one. I hope that my irony doesn't escape you. It's not looking great. This is supposed to be the one with the red center. Yeah, just see. I mean, Hoya peninsularis for me isn't the fastest Hoya in the world, but it also should not take this much. So again, I'm gonna water it a bit. I have some self-watering pots here that my friend sent me, and I've been trying to convince him that he should sell these because these are amazing. They work really, really well for smaller Hoyas, and this needs to be watered, but it's like so adorable and so cute. And I have my Hoya, I should actually probably put a label now. So you can see that this Hoya minutiflora did grow a bit. Not a lot. There is some new growth here. I do think it's a bit too close to the light because you can see that those new leaves are a bit paler. So that's really the issue with the setup. They're kind of close to the light on the top, and that light is not enough to reach the ones on the bottom. So I think I just need to redo it and put 2 LED lights in the corners and 2 on the top, and then I can rework this board. Anyways, these great pots, and I'm getting more from my friend very, very soon. And what he did a very cool thing. He made a holder for them so they can directly go on the pegboard. So I think that is genius. I think people would love that, and I think my friend needs to listen to me. I mean, I think all my friends should listen to me, because great ideas all the time. You know, the reason why my pots are kind of wonky is because I didn't glue the clips. So I have a couple of Dischidias too. I have actually one in my Mars grow tent. This was one plant, and it wasn't my intention to divide them initially, but they just, you know, I didn't know how to pod them together. I think I'm probably gonna trade one of them. I have 3 now, all coming from one mother plant, so I think I'm gonna try to trade one of them for something that I don't have. This is the Dischidia hirsuta. I think this is just very cute. You can see those new leaves there. They look fantastic, and it has recovered really well. Let's take a look at that Hoya Kari. She don't look like much yet, but she will, trust me. And I'm very, very glad to see that those leaves are coming in. I'm not gonna mess with it too much now. I actually see that there is water. So we're kind of semi-hydring it now. There is water in the bottom, so I'm not gonna touch it. I think it's maybe gonna be best if I just pinned it down without re-rooting it. I don't think there is really a need for me to re-root this plant. The roots are fine. When they have arrived, they have been okay, and this is probably one of the reasons why this plant survived. Since getting this plant, I actually got another one from another friend, and she sent me, I don't know if I have any of them in this cabinet. Oh, I do. I do have some of them from Farah, and she sent me another Hoya Kari, and it just doesn't ship all that well when it's too hot. I think when the temperatures are probably under 30, it's fine, but that has been very difficult this year. I don't know where you live, but we have not had many days where temperatures were under 30 here, like in the Balkan region and Hungary and so on. So the shipping wasn't great. This is actually one from Farah, and it's growing, which I'm happy to see. She did tell me that this will need a lot of water, which I've been doing that. Let's pretend, oh, actually, it has water a bit on the bottom. So this is Hoya Valiki subspecies tenebrosa. This has been published, I think, very, very recently. I can't remember, was it last year that this was published, or maybe even this, I'm not really sure. But it's growing. You can see we have some growth there. So that makes me very happy because this one has a fantastic flower, and I think it's a good grower. So I'm just gonna add a bit more water to the pot. And I do think I'm going to be repotting this to one of these. If it doesn't have an extensive root system, I will be moving it to one of these that are self-watering because, again, I have some plants in my grow tent that are in those pots, the self-watering small pots, and they outgrew them really fast. This is one of the verticillatas from my friend Carolina, and this one doesn't need to be watered. This is in cocoa peat and perlite, and I think, no, I don't think there is any pumice there. And you can see it has started to grow, which I'm happy. And really, sometimes just going back to this simplest mix seems to work really well for me because, again, not a whole lot of time and a whole lot of Hoyas. So if I can skip watering some of them, I will. Another great thing is that this mix really works well, half and half cocoa peat and perlite, for Hoyas that are generally non-fussy, non-sensitive, like verticillatas. Even this elliptica is doing well. Not as well as it did in semi-hydro, but I can actually feel that this mix is very dry, so that needs to be watered. This is from Camilla, and it started to grow. I think it could have probably grown a bit more, but I think also probably could have watered it a bit more, so we're gonna forgive one another. You know who's not fast? Hoya verticillata, inner variegated. No rush. No rush to get anywhere. I had a bigger plant. This is the top cutting of the plant that I had because I shared it with a friend, and I sent her the cutting. I actually don't even know if this rooted. I don't know if you have this one. If you do, let me know. Is your plant in a rush or is it like mine? There was a small interruption because I had a phone call. I have a plant sale going at the same time, and I don't really know why I thought I could have a plain sale going while I also record a video. I have here another Hoya in one of those small pots that I will guess needs to be watered. Ooh, yes. So this is the one that they call micro dwarf. At one point it was sold as Nicholsoni micro dwarf, but because this plant didn't bloom for anyone yet, so we don't really know if it's a Nicholsonia. It does have an accession number, and I do believe that accession number is NS12323, perhaps. Yes, so it is NS12323. So this actually has a lot of new growth, and I got this also in July. I'm just going to make a quick tag for this plant. Okay, and it needs to be watered as well. So once again, that's not, I need to pump the sprayer first. It doesn't take much really to water like this. It's probably the fastest way. I think I can water all of my Hoyas, and there's quite a few of them, in about 1 hour or less. I do have one that I will trim back a bit. It has some dried vines. This hasn't been growing well for me. This is Hoya Chonggensis, and I've had this since, I believe, April. It did root well, and the roots are fine. It's just not super fast for me. I know Betsy has this plant, and it's growing much better, and I think she, you know, is staying on top of watering. And this really is kind of like Hoya serpents in the matter of care. If it's too hot, it doesn't really love it. So again, Chonggensis here. You see that I have a bit of dry vine there. So I'm gonna take that off with the scissors that I have no idea where they are. And this isn't something that's necessary. I just like to clean them up. Sometimes, you know, they instantly look a bit better when they're not doing well, and you have these dry vines, and you know, just take them off and it looks like everything is fine. How to trick yourself, you're doing a great job growing Hoyas. That is what this video should be called. This I got as Hoya excavata, and this used to be in my grow tent, and I do have to say it was growing much better in my grow tent. I actually do see there is some root rot here, and that is most likely because I haven't been watering. So you can see what root rot looks like. So these are just coming right off. So that's not great, and that probably explains why this plant isn't doing so well. I just had my scissors. Where are my scissors? One time I went to bed with scissors in them because my bed is right behind you, and I don't know what I was doing, but I woke up and there were scissors in my bed. I have no idea how I am alive. I'm actually going to probably take this out from the pot See how this plant is doing. The leaves are still firm, so that means that there are roots there. And sometimes this will happen. You will have a minor root rot, and it's typically not a big issue. So I'm going to show you this plant. This is Hoya parviflora Splash. Very, very beautiful plant. I got it from Camilla Gedden from Sweden. And you can see this vine here. This is from the original cutting, and it lost the baby leaves. On some Hoyas this is easier to see than on others. You can see here that scarring. This is the scarring where the old leaf was, and so this will not grow a leaf here. What it can do, it can branch out there or sometimes on top. But because this isn't a big piece of the plant and the plant is actually growing, I don't like the way this looks, right? I don't want to have a plant that looks beautiful and then we have this part. And again, it can branch out, but since it's doing well, I don't really need this. I don't really want it. And a lot of people are against trimming their Hoyas. I'm not, because I also want them to look pretty. So what I will do is I will cut that piece of vine just right there. Because again, we want our Hoya to look nice. We don't really need this, not necessary. You can keep stuff like this if you want to. I don't care for those too much. And see, when I turn it around, it already looks better. So I am going to leave it like this and just check if it needs to be watered. There is some water on the bottom, so I will not even water it. So that's the parviflora Splash, and we have some nice, beautiful splashy leaves. Ooh, I wish I knew what this is. I think this is Alacunosa I got from Carolina. And I do believe that this is Royal Flush. That new growth is absolutely black. I love it. It looks so nice. I mean, it looks very dark on the camera too. The entire plant is kind of dark, but the new leaves are gorgeous. I mean, look at those baby leaves. That is a nice, deep color. I wonder if they will be more splashy. And because I almost forgot what that is, I'm going to put a label in it right away. This is another beautiful Lacunosa. This is from Langkawi Island. It's also growing really well. This is another plant from Camilla, which you will see. It has very small leaves, not as small as the one that I just got from Betsy Durian Perangin, if that's the correct name. I keep forgetting. I think I will also trim this one a bit because you can see this actually doesn't have a node. It has the end there, but it doesn't look to me like it will actually activate on the end. And I can see it's activating already here. I don't know if we can see that. And this is not a Hoya, by the way, but you can see that there is a new vine growing there. So I'm gonna just clean it up a bit so it looks better. Like that. And this is actually a Dischidia. I cannot wait to get this to bloom. This is a Dischidia with blue flower. I don't know anything about this plant, but I will make a video on it as soon as it blooms. I think I inserted some of the photos in a recent video. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and the leaves are still very soft. It's rooted, so I know it's fine, but it kind of has a softer leaf to it. It's quite pliable, if you can see. I think they will perk up a bit more as it roots more. Carolina's plant did. So I'm waiting for that to happen on my plant, but I can see a lot of growth points actually. There are at least 3 grow points from this plant that I can see, and that makes me very happy because if I can see this in bloom soon, I wouldn't mind it. Can you hear the pond? It's like, I was thirsty for a very long time. I'm sorry. So we have watered, I think, everyone from this one cabinet, and I'm going to return these to this Radsta, and then I'm going to move to my other Radsta, which is right next to it, and we will have to move El Choco so we can get there. So this is my second Radsta setup, and it's different, very different than the first one. I'm okay with it, but the first one fits definitely more Hoyas in there and it looks nicer. This one, not as nice, but currently, you know, it is what it is. We are going to fix this. I have Hoyas here from Betsy, from Hoya My Gosh, and someone fell over there, but these are rooting. This is the Exilis that didn't arrive well, and then the Evelina, she has still not plumped up, so we need to wait a bit more, but the rest of them are doing well. I think some of them have probably already rooted. You can see some of them are in very small cups. There are pieces of vines or peduncles here. I actually see here that Hoya Exilis, if you can see here, we do have some aerial roots forming, but that's not the thing that I'm interested in. You can see that there is new growth. So that one is actually going to be okay. I have an issue. I don't like to see prop boxes like this. When I open a prop box and when I see a mess, it genuinely makes me upset. So let's just check on the rest of them. This is Hoya Frogfoot, species Frogfoot. And I put this one in Cocoa Peat and Perlite. And I don't know if she is putting out any roots. The leaves actually are firmer than they have been, so that's great. Actually, when I tug on it, it's kind of in there firmly. So it may have pushed a root. There is a root on the frog foot. Oh, wow. The echo here. There is a root. Hi. Let's take a look. Oh, this one is also not rooting. Actually, it is rooting. This is Hoya Ibrosherry. The issue with these plants is sometimes they fall out of pond so easily, so I have to pot that up again. This one is rooting, that's species Papua. I think they all need a layer of pond on top. One of the aerial roots went right in there. This is Hoya species Germany. And the reason why I put them in the prop box and not directly on the shelf is because it's not as humid in the cabinet. It doesn't stay as humid, so I will just leave them in the prop box for now. This is Elephant. Okay, that's actually firm in there. Let's see. Are you joking? Are you joking? This has been put into this pond a week ago. There is a root coming out. And you know what that means? It means that I can put Elephant in my grow tent. This is the cute Lacunosa durian perungan, or whatever you say that. It has a lot of aerial roots. So I kind of separated the plants that I want to repot and move to the tent. So anyways, my issue with this setup is, first of all, I have two lights on the top and that's fine. I have this glass shelf and that's the only level that I have. And then we have a prop box here with a very weak LED light and this, again, Hoya in recovery. Now, compared to Millsbo cabinet, where you can kind of adjust the levels however you want, the levels in Radsta are fixed. So we have this one, and I can put one more level here. You can see in the back we have this, I'm not really sure how to call it, but you would rest the shelf on top of that. You can't really adjust the levels, right? They're fixed here and here. And the space between those is not a lot, so I think what you can do is put one level here where I put it and then put Hoyas on top, and then there really isn't much space from the bottom to that glass. I worked it out with this prop box, but if I were to put plants, it wouldn't be, they could stay there for a very short time, something like this size, because you also need some space from the light. And that's a bit too much. Maybe I could put something a little bit bigger, like maybe this Hoya Polinera. But nothing much taller than that could go on that shelf. So that's an issue. Ideally, what I would like, and you can probably hack this with some more work, you could probably put in the middle one level. I imagine that you can drill the cabinet and find a way to kind of secure that shelf, and then it would make sense because you could put Hoyas on top and bottom. But I really think that the best setup for the Radsta cabinet is something like I did in the first one. Put the pegboard on back and then lights in the corner and maybe a couple of lights on the top, and then that should be really enough. I have some Hoyas here and they're not tremendously special. I have Hoya passiflora. My original plant died because of spider mites, so my friend sent me another one. She needs to be watered. I mean, all of them need to be watered, and I can actually show you how I would water all of them. Let me just adjust. I don't think I need to do too much work with any of them. We will take a look at a couple of them, but basically what I do is I use this pump sprayer and I will just go like this. It goes very quickly. Sometimes I count, like up to 10. Sometimes I don't. Like when I'm talking to you, I am obviously not counting. We have a Hoya serpents here that it's not doing well again. I really have an issue keeping serpents happy during the summer. We are not the bestest of friends. We have 15 Hoyas here, so it takes about 2 or 3 minutes most. Not even that much to water 15 Hoyas, so it's not too difficult. And sometimes, you know, I will spill water everywhere, and that's fine. Or not. I mean, it's not that I'm going for it, but it happens. That's pretty much it. That's how quickly you can water the plants. This is Cutis porcellana. Oh, it's finally growing. This one really did not have a great time. That's from that cursed shipment. She is putting out a new leaf on the bottom. I don't know if you can see that. And a new vine actually here. So that makes me happy. She is doing better. This Hoya is Chlorantha variety tutuilensis, and we have a couple of new leaves. This one also kind of looked like she's not going to make it, but we're getting there. She is very small, so I don't expect us to see flowers anytime soon. Oh, this is a gorgeous one that I got from my friend Farah, and we don't have roots on the bottom. This is Caudata Gold. And I cannot wait for her to grow. Beautiful leaves on this plant. I mean, Caudata Gold is not always the easiest Caudata to find, but gorgeous, gorgeous leaves with a lot of silver on them. And I cannot wait to see the new growth in this one. We have the Polinera silver with a lot of roots. That's actually doing really well. Again, can't wait to see the new growth. It's doing really well in pond. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm mostly surprised because I don't really water it that much. This is Campanulata from Brunei, and we have 2 new growth points. One on the top there, and one on the bottom. So I am very, very happy about that. It seems to me that she really likes cocoa peat and perlite. This is Hoya Wangviangiensis, and Wangviangiensis has been a good grower for me. We have a new growth point here. I think this plant could have grown a bit more. I do think we had some issues here with a couple of mites, but it is branching out, which I am very happy to see. It's a beautiful Hoya once again. We will leave her on the trellis. I did repot her recently to cocoa peat and perlite because I don't think she's been loving pond as much without self-watering option. This is Hoya carnosa Wilbur Graves that I got from my friend Farah. I mean, it's, maybe you don't really see on those leaves, but some of the older ones, I think I showed this in Instagram story. Look at that. That is a full silver leaf. It is absolutely beautiful in person, and I really love it. This is Hoya apoda, and I can tell you that she did not enjoy me after I underwatered her. In the beginning I had luck that she bloomed right away. Now it's actually looking much healthier. Like the leaves are as plump as they have never been, so I have been consistently underwatering this plant, and I know that now. And ever since I put her in the self-watering pot, it's been just so much better. There is a new growth point coming from the bottom. You will be able to see it on the back. This one is also from my friend Farah, and this is RB Mini Verticillata. I got this as Hoya melliflua. Ideally, I would put a trellis at this point, but I'm not gonna. We have to be very realistic with what we want to do. And my Hoya Denisi from my friend Carolina, I can already tell you that the Frida that I have is doing much better in self-watering pot. This is also in pon. This is Hoya Boiti, and you can see how this one dried out. Again, when you don't water for a week in pon and you don't have self-watering, that's what happens, and that's not great. Even though it's in the cabinet, it just doesn't really work. I mean, the plant is fine, but it really could be thriving. So I think we're finished with this cabinet. I'm just going to put the Hoyas back in here. Now we can just quickly take a look at my Millsbo cabinet, and then I think it's time to wrap this video up. Okay, we are in my Millsbo cabinet, and I had to turn off this light because it's making a horrendous buzzing noise. But this is basically what I wanted to do with the Radsta. One light here, one light in the other corner, and then pegboard in the back. I don't have much to do here. I did most of the work. Most of these are repotted. I do have to water all of them, shockingly. What I need to do is give one plant a trellis, and it's this Hoya Maintenance that has now gone all... Ooh. The situation is slightly more problematic than I initially hoped for. So she is here on the bottom, right? And this is how she was standing. And you can see we do have a vine, and I was expecting that this is the end, right? It's not. It goes and goes and goes all the way there. So that's a very, very long vine that you have there. And unfortunate thing is that she wrapped herself around one of these other Hoyas. There is gonna be some unwrapping that needs to be done. What worries me more is that you can see my back, but aside from that, what worries me is that this is a very long vine, and I do not have a bunch of luck when it comes to retrellising Hoyas. I have retrellised these Hoyas many, many times, and very seldomly will I retrellis a Hoya and have the vine not die back. I have released her, so she starts kind of here, and then she goes and she goes and she goes all the way there. So that's nice. Let's first start with what we know, and that is to cut the wire. This will turn into a trellis, and that will turn into broken glass. It's not gonna be a pretty trellis, okay? Again, do we really want to break the glass, Miro? Is that what we're going for? This plant also needs to be watered. I'm just basically gonna put this very big trellis in this very, very dry mix. Miro, water the plants one day. I think we can first use, I have some of this leftover Velcro, so I'm just gonna use this, kinda gently put it on the trellis. We're not gonna do much more with this. And I think it's too soon for us to start going down. This one does have a gentler vine, so be gentle. As if you're doing this right now, not me. And I'm just going to put one here to kind of stabilize it. And that's going to be it. It is time to water those plants. Can you believe that is all for today? Neither can I. It's been a week since I recorded that video, and It is a bit longer than I anticipated. I cannot believe that I also wanted to tackle my tents in the same video. Clearly, realistic planning is not my thing. I hope you were still able to enjoy that video. I know it was a bit all over the place, but sometimes that is what we get. All that is left to say is that if you like the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions for my Rodsta setup, if you would like to see a video when I redo my Rodsta cabinets. Clearly words have not improved over the course of the week. Also, if you want to see me do the Hoya wall in the video, the one that is still in the process of planning, even though I have all the necessary elements for execution, let me know down below and I will make sure to record a video on that, and I promise you it's going to be more glorious than the last Hoya wall shelf video that I did. Before we leave, I just want to show you we have Hoya viola in bloom, which is right here so I can bang my head. I took it down so I can take some flower photos, but you get to see it in the video, and you will probably get to see it in a video once again when Miro makes the video. So, do not. It's a dangerous situation is going on here. Let's just rotate safely. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you soon. Bye! I would like to take some time to thank my patrons. A massive shout out to my $5 patrons. My 3 anonymous patrons, Alex von Siebenthal, Anne-Margaret Moen, Anne C., Betsy Begonia, Carrie, Cynthia Taylor, Danube Daniels, Daria Kaminska, Farah, Gina Geise, Houseplante Heather, Hoya Heather, Jacques Plant Journey, Jessica Chio, Kayla Vavra, Kelso, Kristen Sherwood, Lauren Alexandra, Mars B., Martina, Alif Perday, Marty Miller, Melissa Walker, Nicole Ferranti, Nicole and Caleb of Sleep Tropicals, Nita Macy, PJ, Rachel Colette Conroy, Robin L. Jennings, Ruby, Sherry Kumar, Stephanie H2O, Spinach Geek, Tanya, TJWO, Wojtek Takach, Wendy Foreman, and Zlokobni Pony. Also, a big thank you to my $3 patrons: Alexandra R., Angelina Farnan, Anne Margaret, Brianna Phillips, Kilone, Claudia L., David Candia, Jerry's Garden, Lisa Helling, Morgan Kennedy, Morgana Davina, Nella, Nerdy Kathy, Plantolania, Ringlov, Shayla Mason Casper, and Tang Watanas Riakul. And a thank you to my $1 patrons: Brandon Pacheco, Carrie, Aaron Keenan, Jacinta, Lauren M., Lori Ann Subramaniam, Luzman Fernandez, Marissa, and Paula Plants. Thank you all so much for incredible support. I hope that you enjoyed visiting with my Hoyas, and if you have any suggestions for my new Rodsta setup, let me know. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you soon.